What do you get when a Royal Commission report recommends politicians abandon the taxpayer versus welfare recipient narrative? The RBA appoints a new governor who wants to see the unemployment rate rise, and the government doesn't want to lift unemployed people above the poverty line. A whole bunch of people who don't care because economics sucks, but we should probably pay attention to this. Yesterday, Michele Bullock was appointed to be the next governor of the Reserve Bank, and everyone was really quite congratulatory.
I very much congratulate Michele Bullock.
Michele is an outstanding economist, but also an accomplished and respected leader.
Now, we know the RBA is tasked with keeping inflation between 2 and 3%, but they've also got a pretty keen interest on the unemployment rate, particularly during periods of high inflation. Regardless of whether high wage growth is a major contributing factor to our inflationary pressures or not, it's not. Michele Bullock gave a speech last week saying she wanted the unemployment rate to rise to reduce inflationary pressures in the economy.
If unemployment remains too low for too long, inflation expectations will rise.
Thinks we need more people unemployed to reduce workers' bargaining power and ability to negotiate higher wages because higher wages are inflationary. The more desperate people are, the more willing they'll be to work for lower wages, which is just charming. The new Reserve Bank governor wants to see 140,000 people lose their jobs. That's not me being dramatic. Here's the ABC News saying the same thing last night.
Michele Bullock recently said unemployment needs to rise to 4.5% in order for cost of living pressures to come down. So basically, that's 140,000 jobs lost because of the greater good, as economists claim.
Also in the news this week, the Robo-Debt Royal Commission report was released, and I'd just like to go to one part of the Commissioner's report where Catherine Holmes suggests that anti-welfare rhetoric needs to be abandoned. And while the Reserve Bank is spelling out in plain black and white that a level of unemployment is necessary for the stability of Australia's market capitalist system, the unequivocal message to the government is stop treating welfare recipients like burdens, and perhaps more importantly, stop leaving them in poverty. The Royal Commission report concluded that welfare payments should be increased across the board, because as we well know, means testing is a really wasteful exercise most of the time, and a model of universality should be adopted far more often than not when it comes to welfare payments. So in the space of a week, we've got a Royal Commission report telling the government to stop being so awful to welfare recipients. We've got a new RBA governor saying that we need more welfare recipients. So government, how about being a little kinder to welfare recipients? Here's some context. A minimum wage worker gets $883 a week on full-time hours. The average weekly income in Australia is $1,808, and the job seeker rate is less than half of what a minimum wage worker gets at just $346 a week. And that figure sits well below any measure of the poverty line. Mr. Treasurer, if you're so welcoming of the new RBA governor, and if you're so welcoming of the Robo-Debt Royal Commission report, what reason do you possibly have for keeping all of these people so far below the poverty line? Job seeker is $347 a week. The average rent in Australia is $570 a week, and Labor's refusing to make unlimited rent increases illegal and selling off public housing as fast as they can. A week of childcare will cost you $591 a week, and it'll cost you $214 to see a dentist. The Treasurer's now handed down 2 budgets, neither of which do anything to materially make a difference with any of that. Blaming budgetary pressures, even though there's a $19 billion surplus, which is decreasing in value as it just sits there doing nothing while inflation skyrockets, and he'll blame inflation, because we all know it's the poorest in society who are contributing to inflation, not corporate profits, which could be quite easily taxed with a corporate super profits tax. Inflation seems like a good excuse not to spend money on increasing welfare payments for people living below the poverty line and those who actually need it. But I guess a few $100 billion in tax cuts for the richest people in this country next year won't be inflationary. It's just an extra $10,000 every year for everybody earning over $200,000. Guess that's neoliberal economics for you. Let the poor suffer for the sake of the rich. If they ask for more equality, blame the economy. If the rich ask for more money, give it to them and then blame the poor for the inflationary impact. The Reserve Bank's lifting interest rates because it's the only tool they have to fight inflation. The RBA can't solve this without market intervention from a government who are literally planning on making the problem $300 billion worse starting next year. Tax super profits, tax fossil fuel exports, tax billionaires, build public housing and lift everyone's income above the poverty line. Okay, that's enough economics for one day.